friends who are very wealthy who give a nice little gift. Friends who really understand.
I am so happy that we can gather in person, finally, after so many years, and be able to really celebrate Arie Galles' solo exhibition, Transformations of Retrospective. I think today really speaks to the resilience and enduring spirit of our featured artist, whom I've had the pleasure of knowing as a treasured colleague and friend since 2004. But before I go on about Arie, I thought, allow me to share a few things about Soka University. We're a private, nonprofit liberal arts institution that has a mission to foster global citizens committed to living a contributive life for society and for peace. We have a very diverse student body. Many of them are here today. And we have 50% of our students actually come from outside of the United States. We've had over 60 countries represented among our students and alumni. We've always focused on academic excellence, and as a result, we have been consistently ranked in the top 30 liberal arts colleges in the country, top 5 in California. About that academic excellence, I have to say that Arie Galles is a key part of this, because during his time, his passion for teaching has really enabled so many of our students to grow and develop over the years. And personally, I see Arie as a role model, as a global citizen, a true global citizen who embodies the essential elements of global citizenship that was defined by our university founder, Daisaku Ikeda, as wisdom, courage, and compassion. For those that don't know, he was born in Uzbekistan, growing up in Poland following the Second World War, then lived in Israel, and then the United States. Arie truly is a man of the world. Do you realize he speaks 7 different languages? There's English, there's, don't help me, English, German, Hebrew, Italian, Polish, Russian, and Yiddish, and actually he's fluent in so many others, it's just amazing. Wherever I go, he's just like engaging. And that to me is a real global citizen, a man of the world. But more importantly, underneath that ever-present hat, and his encyclopedia of humor and jokes, if those that you know, he's always got a joke ready to tell you. In his quick wit resides what I find to be the heart and mind of a person with a deep passion for justice. Though I'm not an artist, I find that his work evokes awakening, wonder, sometimes outrage, transcendence, whose every brushstroke, charcoal mark, painted aluminum beam has had a persistent intentionality and meaning. I feel so fortunate to consider Arie my dear friend, and I thank him for sharing with me and the Soka community his art and his passion for life. And now to formally introduce our featured artist, I would like to call to the podium Professor Anne Pearce, Director of Soka's Creative Arts Program and the Curator of this art gallery. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to thank you all so much for coming to Soka University to celebrate Arie Galles. I arrived here in 2019 just before the pandemic, but fortunately I have found a friend, a mentor, a man who has dedicated his entire life to creating an incredible body of work using diverse materials. The thing that you have to remember, a lifetime of making work is rigorous, often difficult, and to continue a daily generative practice is awesome, in the truest sense of a favorite California word. I'm not going to say much because I know Arie has a lot to say, but I am grateful to Soka, to the university, to its constituents for the opportunity to see this incredible work featured in Founders Hall Gallery. Thank you, and join me in welcoming the amazing Arie Galles.
Thank you very much. It's going to be a couple of parts I'm going to introduce, actually, 2 people that are extremely important in my life. I'll do it. Originally, I thought of doing my famous interpretive dance, Ode to Spring, but I think you don't want to see it right now. But first, thank you, Arch. Thank you, Anne, Michelle Martin, who I don't know where you get your energy from, for making all of this thing possible from scheduling and so on. I don't know how many hats you wear, I only have one. So I really thank you very much for that, and everybody else who's involved in it. What I'd like to do is, I'll come back later for a short, everything that I basically have to say is written on the walls and you can see it. But first of all, I would like to introduce somebody that I met actually on Friday, April the 13th, 1979, which is my wife, my friend, my greatest supporter, my most intense critic, and my love. I know it's kind of trite to say, but she is the love of my life. She's a fantastic writer, a sensitive person. My best friend, Sara Nuss-Galles.
And what do you say after that? What I'm going to read to you was a story that I wrote after Arie's 14 Stations project, 2 of which pieces are in the gallery on the first floor today. The first time that I saw Bergen-Belsen, where I was as a child after the war in the displaced persons camp, and seeing that piece on the wall. Bergen-Belsen Camp Reunion. I stand in a sacred place at the Morris Museum in New Jersey, peering into the black and white aerial image of Bergen-Belsen. I'm trying to place myself as a child. I lived there in the latter 1940s. My parents called it the Lager, German for camp. It was unlike the camps my future American friends experienced. No t-shirts, no s'mores over the wood fire for the thousands of kids in Bergen-Belsen displaced persons camp after World War II. I stare at the drawing of Bergen-Belsen. Did I walk this snaking pathway, that cluster of buildings, those guard towers, the fields? That's where my brother Terry smeared my sister Eve in mud. The mud dried so hard, my mother had to chip it off her. That's where my brother Herschel learned to fix engines, where our neighbor's toddler fell into an open well. His accident unleashed emergency vehicles and pent-up hysteria. After his rescue, my siblings and I were scolded within an inch of our life. That was my parents' version of love. Not tender, more scary than reassuring, as if they couldn't be soft and remain intact within their unnumbered skin. Both their families were lost, rounded up, interred in the Warsaw Ghetto, burned in a barn, sent to a labor or death camp. We never learned which. Tenderness disappeared from my parents' emotional vocabulary. Perhaps that's how they survived. For the moment, we kids were mad at our neighbor, this kid. His accident curtailed our freedom. The exhibition, 14 Stations Hey Yud Dalet, was newly installed in the museum, but it began a decade before, when my husband, Arie, had a vision on entering an octagonal gallery space. A suite of aerial views of concentration camps. God was said to be everywhere, especially above. So where was God? When the Almighty peered onto these killing grounds, what was visible? These views existed, Arie said. He would find them and draw them. He named the project 14 Stations after the 14 Stations of the Cross he learned in Catholic school when his family returned to post-war Poland. Stations also represented the railroad stations that expedited the Nazis' extermination plan. The final solution mechanism functioned efficiently. While a war raged, millions of people were transported to slaughter. Arie was feverish as he explained his vision to me. The conception came about in minutes. Little did we know what lay ahead. For 10 years, he conducted research at the National Archives in Washington, D.C., examining thousands of aerial reconnaissance negatives and documents by phone, mail, fax, with scholars, librarians, and cartographers at England's Keele University and the Royal Air Force Archives. Over time, Arie mastered charcoal, pink pearl eraser, Conti crayon, learned soaking and preparing fine watercolor paper, bending wrought iron, building crates, and I helped. Our children went to college, graduated, moved to the West Coast. After an illness, Arie's mother died in 1997. My father died in the new millennium, 2000. I continued writing, often recounting my childhood in America, holidays, foods, friends. I never wrote about the war or aftermath. The war was in our home. As Arie hovered above the camps, I was his companion. After the decade, I stood in the octagonal-shaped gallery built to exhibit the 14 stations and peered into the Bergen-Belsen drawing. There, little Sarah played, ran. I trailed my siblings. There, our neighbor shook her baby's diapers out of the window into the field. There, my parents opened a cantina, a convenience store, where I, an Altgemieter, an old soul, they called me, stood outside pulling customers in. There, I caught Mr. Piatnik stealing cigarettes. Decades later, on our porch on the north side of Chicago, I learned the truth. My father put his friend up to palming the cigarettes so I could catch him. People who visited concentration camps often say to me, "You know when you stand there?" I respond, "No, I don't know. I haven't been back. My journey to the camps has been through aerial views, hovering above, seeing perhaps what God might have seen, unwilling or helpless to act."
My second introduction is going to be the world-renowned poet, Jerome Rothenberg, with probably by now 60 or more books to his name. I call him, as the father of ethnopoetics. Jerome and I met in 1993 at UCSD when I was visiting artists, thanks to Jerome. And we continued our friendship throughout all the years, and we have worked together. Collaboration doesn't sound so good now in the sentences after what Sara has read, but I would say that our work together made the whole much greater than the sum of its parts. He is a person of energy, wit, and incredible intellect, and I'm tremendously honored to have him as my friend and to introduce him, Jerome Rothenberg.
Coming on 30 years now, that Arie has been an important part of my life. And the work we were able to do together, and major part of the work that I've done as a poet, and I hope he as an artist, including the extraordinary 14 stations, which I guess is still looking for a home, in which Arie asked me, having conceived and largely performed the creation of the stations, asked me if I could bring some poems into that. And I wondered, how could I match the kind of curious objectivity of those paintings that don't go into the heart of the extermination camps, but view them sort of God's eye view, looking down on the camps from the sky. And I thought to match that kind of objectivity, I would go back to one form of writing that I had been practicing, using a vocabulary based on old Hebrew Kabbalistic form of numerology, in which, because all letters of the Hebrew alphabet, are also numbers, every word is a sum of its numbers, a sum of its letters, numbers, and one can bring words and sentences and phrases together, and if they come out to the same number, the Kabbalists thought, there must be something valuable in that. And I found it as a way of making poetry, but in this instance, giving me that kind of objectification, that kind of distancing, that view of the extermination camps from the sky might otherwise provide. So I'll read a few of them. The vocabulary is drawn from a gematria, that's the name of the numerological system, in which I take the names of the vocabularies written with Hebrew letters, and check against the numerical value, and all the words come from that. From a book on the gematria, on this numerological system, which provides numerical equivalences for all of the words in the first books of the Hebrew Bible. So maybe there's a kind of, biblical sense that goes along with the poems. But they're poems. From the 14 stations for Arie Galles. The first station, Auschwitz-Birkenau. Now the serpent. I will bring back their taskmasters, crazy and mad, will meet them deep in the valley and be subdued, separated in life, uncircumcised, needy, shoes stowed away. How naked they come, my fathers, angry and trembling, the serpents you have destroyed, their faces remembered, small in your eyes, shut down, soiled, see a light take shape in the pit, someone killed, torn in pieces, a terror, a god, go down deeper. The ninth station, Treblinka, where most of those in my own family who succumbed were exterminated. The ninth station, Treblinka. The voices, thunders, and the voices are kin that they will bring in, the kingdoms gathering to kill us, and you will wave, O Israel, and will submit yourself, and I will set apart the sum of them, the thunderers, voices, and the thunders I will watch and will take heed. The 13th station, Ravensbrück, which is also a center for experiments with women, so there's a female presence there. in 2 parts. In my name, she placed an offering of dust, an offering of graves where she lay empty, desolate, lay guilty for her pleasures. In my name, the Lamb approaching, placed the basin at her neck throughout your generations. And 2, for Rachel twice. She turned aside, I thought, the wood, the thorns, wounding my thighs. When they came and carried her away, he gave them numbers by the sword, a bell for those with numbers. And the 14th station, Stutthof, near the water. The evil water in my dream has emptied out their cities, has emptied out their cities, like my mouth, a hole, and in the blood they burn. They turn them into smoke. And someday I will do a reading of all 14 stations, standing with the 14 stations. You know, that wonderfully have, the poems are there, you know, written by hand by this great man.
I just got a few words to say. Usually I tell people to beware of people who say they have a few words to say, because by that time you should just get yourself your pajamas and a pillow and just go to sleep. So that's going to be that. But first of all, I want to thank all of you for coming here. It's a total honor to have you here. You know, there are periods in your life when you look into your mirror, that could happen every few years, if you live long enough, and you look in the mirror and you know it's you, and you look at your eyes and you realize there's somebody else there at this point. It's still you, but certain things have changed. I have been a very lucky person to be able to spend a lifetime doing exactly what I love doing. I love teaching. What do I teach? I teach art. Well, I love art. What I do art. I'm so glad to have found a home here that even after I have retired, I was made artist in residence. My studio is downstairs. So actually on the door there's a label that says Arie Asawa, artist in basement residence. If you have looked at your pamphlets here of today's program, you'll see that there's I forgot the name of it, something Q code that you can take a picture of. Next Thursday evening, I'll be doing a walkthrough for anybody who is able, it's free, walk through the whole gallery and explain the works and talk a little about it. Because right now, everything that you need to know is right there. And I welcome you to go into the galleries, go upstairs, take a look. I'll be sort of meandering around. You can grab me. But if you're really interested in listening to something more, and if I don't put you to sleep, please come next Thursday. It would be greatly appreciated. So thank you, Jerome. Thank you very much for your friendship. Thank you for your existence. And also, sitting next to Jerome is Diane Rothenberg, who, well, you know, you call her Jerdai, like Jolie and so forth. But I have an empathy for that because I feel the same about Sara. We are sort of one person in different ways to support each other. And Diane has been there for Jerry a tremendous amount of time. And it's so wonderful to see your interaction and your continued goodwill and intelligence and kindness. It's greatly appreciated. So please finish the snackies because I'm going to take all of them home. And please enjoy the show. And I'll be walking around, and if you have some questions that I can answer very shortly, I'll be greatly to do it. So thank you again very much. And Michelle, again, thank you. my granddaughter dancing in there.